Hello, today we're going to have a little Econ 1 class for you, and this is based off of the quarterly report on household debt and credit that is produced by the New York Fed. I'm going to look at some accounts, the way they look at debt. They look at debt basically in four things. You see the top line here is credit card debt, the red line here is auto loan debt, the green line is mortgage debt, the purple line is home equity lines of credit. A couple things to summarize their second quarter report. The total debt increased 2% compared to the first quarter, which is really not too bad. The biggest issue, though, is you can see this purple-blue line right here. Credit card debt is the largest increase that they've had compared to the prior quarter in over 20 years. So as you're all aware, we're kind of in an inflationary environment right now. This is really an indication of consumers using their credit to pay inflated prices. This is not good, as we all know, and we shall see if this trend continues. We certainly do not want the consumer maxing out their credit card, and I've got a chart coming up later that's going to show you how much is left on that. Second chart is mortgage originations by credit score. The reason I bring this up is to kind of give you a feel historically, specifically going back to the recession, in terms of the credit worthiness of today's home buyers. As you are well aware, home prices have increased dramatically. But look at the credit score. So 760 plus is the best of the bunch, and this is this light blue thing. So you can see that predominantly since COVID, the majority of loan originations have been by credit scores of 760 or plus. That's good news because in theory they should be able to repay their loans. Now if you go back to the left side of this chart, you can see back to the recession, you can see the amount of credit scores. So 620 is really bad, and that was really the bulk of it. If you go from 1Q 2003 to 1Q probably 2008, you can see that that percentage was as high as it was, especially if you look at it now, it's really minimal. But you look at the gray area. The gray area has a tremendous amount, the credit score between 660 and 719. We saw what happened with that. The least credit worthy that you are, the lower the credit score, house prices turn down, house goes into foreclosure. So I'd take this chart as a positive for the support of current home price levels. Mentioned something about the amount of credit card that consumers are using to pay for these inflated prices. This graph is, you can see that the red here down at the bottom is HELOC balances. The dark blue is credit card balances. But then really what we want to look at is the credit card limit, which is this number right, this graph right here. And then the pink is the HELOC limit. So if you compare the red with the pink, you can see that maybe 30 to 40% of American home equity lines of credit have been accessed. And then if you compare the blue with the light blue, or it's only probably about 25% that has been accessed by American consumers. So it's kind of a good news, bad news. You don't want to see this chart being maxed out in terms of there's nothing left for the American consumer to do. The downside of it is there's plenty of funds available for them to continue to pay for inflated prices. Last chart we're going to look at is percent of balance 90 days plus delinquent by loan type. Here's the red student loan. When the government says you don't have to pay your student loans, well, you see this is really the only one that's on a severely downward trend. Actually, the good news is if you look at 2021 up to this, the student loan obviously is downward. The credit card delinquency is downward. All these things are a downward trend, so that's really positive for the consumer. So I bring this up as kind of the recession winds are predicted for the fourth quarter of this year and the first quarter of next year. But if you look at these charts, the American consumer is in very good shape right now, specifically if you go back to where they were compared to the recession. So that's your econ for today.